Master your mindset. How to achieve success in any situation. Chapter 1. The Mindset Revolution that changes everything. In 1952, doctors told Roger Bannister that running a 4-minute mile was physically impossible. The human body, they said, would literally collapse. Yet 46 days after Bannister broke that barrier, someone else did it. Then another. Today, over 1,400 people have run sub-4-minute miles. Yes, training methods improved. Nutrition advanced. Track surfaces got better. But here's the real truth. The barrier was never physical. It was mental. The same body that couldn't do it in 1951 suddenly could in 1954. Nothing changed except belief. Right now, as you listen to this, there's a version of you living a completely different life. Same background, same circumstances, same starting point. But this version of you thinks differently, acts differently, achieves differently. The only difference? Their mindset. Here's what 99% of people will never understand. Every limitation you face, every goal you haven't achieved, every dream that feels impossible, exists in one place only. Your mind. And the moment you crack the code of mental mastery, reality itself bends to your will. But here's the shocking part. Most successful people don't even realize they've mastered their mindset. They think they're just lucky. They think they're different. They're not. They simply think in patterns that automatically create success, while everyone else thinks in patterns that automatically create struggle. The human brain is the most sophisticated computer ever created, processing over 35,000 decisions every single day. But here's what's incredible. Most people are running outdated software. They're operating with limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, and self-sabotaging programs that were installed years, sometimes decades ago. They wonder why they can't break through to the next level, not realizing that their own mind is the prison keeping them trapped. But you're different. You're here because you're ready to upgrade your mental operating system. You're ready to install the success programming that will transform not just how you think, but how you show up in the world, how you handle challenges, and ultimately, what you achieve. This isn't just another self-help concept. This is backed by cutting-edge neuroscience. Every thought you think creates neural pathways in your brain. Every belief you hold shapes your reality. Every mental habit you practice either moves you closer to or further from your goals. The incredible news is that your brain is neuroplastic, meaning it can be rewired at any age. You can literally reprogram yourself for success. Think about the most successful people you know. What sets them apart isn't their circumstances. Many started with nothing. It's their mindset. They think differently. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They maintain confidence when others crumble under pressure. They take action when others make excuses. They persist when others quit. This isn't because they're special. It's because they've mastered their mindset. Chapter 2. The Science of Mental Transformation. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds, but it controls everything about your life. Every success, every failure, every moment of happiness or misery, it all starts in those 3 pounds of neural tissue between your ears. Understanding how your brain works is the first step to mastering your mindset and achieving unprecedented success. The most revolutionary discovery in neuroscience over the past 2 decades is neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. What this means is that you are not stuck with the mental patterns you have today. You can literally rewire your brain for success, confidence, and achievement. Every time you think a thought, your brain fires electrical impulses along neural pathways. The more you repeat a thought, the stronger that pathway becomes. This is why negative thinking becomes a habit, but it's also why positive, success-oriented thinking can become automatic. When you understand this principle, you realize that you have the power to choose which thoughts to strengthen and which to let fade away. But here's where most people go wrong. They try to change their thoughts without changing their environment, their habits, or their daily practices. They wonder why positive thinking doesn't work for them. It's because changing your mindset requires more than just thinking different thoughts. It requires a systematic approach to mental conditioning. Your subconscious mind processes over 11 million bits of information per second, while your conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits per second. This means that 99.99% of your mental processing happens below the level of conscious awareness. Your subconscious mind is where your beliefs, habits, and automatic responses live. This is why willpower alone isn't enough to create lasting change. You need to reprogram your subconscious mind. The reticular activating system, or RAS, is like the search engine of your brain. It filters the millions of pieces of information you encounter every day and brings to your attention only what it deems important, based on your current beliefs and focus. When you program your RAS for success, you literally start to notice opportunities, resources, and solutions that were always there but invisible to you before. Mirror neurons are another fascinating aspect of brain science that affects your mindset. These neurons fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action. This is why the people you spend time with have such a profound impact on your thinking and behavior. If you want to develop a success mindset, you need to surround yourself with successful people, even if it's just through books, podcasts, or videos. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO of your brain. It's responsible for executive functions like decision-making, planning, and impulse control. The stronger your prefrontal cortex, the better you become at making decisions that serve your long-term goals, rather than giving in to immediate gratification. You can strengthen this part of your brain through meditation, challenging mental exercises, and practicing delayed gratification. Your brain also has something called cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that can either help or hurt you. Confirmation bias makes you seek information that confirms what you already believe. Availability bias makes you overestimate the likelihood of events that easily come to mind. Understanding these biases allows you to think more clearly and make better decisions. The stress response system in your brain, centered around the amygdala, can either paralyze you or propel you forward. When you learn to reframe stress as excitement and challenges as opportunities, you literally change how your brain responds to difficult situations. Instead of triggering the fear response, you activate the growth response. Chapter 3. Breaking free from limiting beliefs. The biggest obstacle between you and the success you desire isn't external. It's not the economy, your background, your education, or your current circumstances. The biggest obstacle is the limiting beliefs you carry in your mind. These invisible barriers determine what you attempt, what you expect, and what you achieve. A limiting belief is any thought that constrains you in some way. It's a story you tell yourself about what's possible for you, what you deserve, or what you're capable of. The insidious thing about limiting beliefs is that they operate largely below the level of conscious awareness. You might not even realize you have them, but they're influencing every decision you make and every action you take. Common limiting beliefs include thoughts like, I'm not smart enough, I don't have what it takes, success is for other people, I always mess things up, or I don't deserve to be wealthy. These beliefs didn't appear out of nowhere. They were installed in your mind through past experiences, often during childhood when your brain was most impressionable. Maybe a teacher told you that you weren't good at math, and you've carried that belief into adulthood, avoiding anything that requires analytical thinking. Maybe your family had negative attitudes about money, and you unconsciously sabotage your financial success because deep down, you believe that wealthy people are greedy or that you don't deserve abundance. The first step in breaking free from limiting beliefs is becoming aware of them. Start paying attention to your self-talk, especially when you're facing challenges or opportunities. Notice the automatic thoughts that arise. What do you tell yourself when you're considering taking on a new challenge? What beliefs surface when you think about achieving a big goal? Many limiting beliefs reveal themselves through the language you use. Words like can't, always, never, impossible, and hopeless are red flags that indicate limiting thinking. When you catch yourself using absolute language, stop and question whether it's really true. Is it really impossible or just difficult? Do you really always mess up, or are you remembering failures more vividly than successes? Another way to identify limiting beliefs is to look at the patterns in your life. Where do you consistently struggle? What goals do you set but never achieve? What opportunities do you avoid? What excuses do you repeatedly make? These patterns often point to underlying beliefs that are holding you back. Once you've identified a limiting belief, the next step is to challenge it. Ask yourself, is this belief absolutely true? Where did this belief come from? What evidence do I have that contradicts this belief? How is this belief serving me? What would be possible if I didn't hold this belief? Most limiting beliefs crumble under scrutiny because they're based on incomplete information, outdated experiences, or other people's opinions, rather than objective reality. When you start questioning your beliefs instead of automatically accepting them, you begin to reclaim your power. The most effective way to replace a limiting belief is not just to think positively, but to find evidence that contradicts the old belief and supports a new empowering one. If you believe you're not good with people, start collecting evidence of times when you connected well with others. If you believe you're not creative, notice moments when you come up with innovative solutions or ideas. Visualization is a powerful tool for belief change because your subconscious mind can't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you repeatedly visualize yourself succeeding, confident, and capable, you're literally programming new beliefs into your subconscious mind. Affirmations work best when they're believable and specific. Instead of saying, "I am incredibly wealthy," which your mind might reject if you're currently struggling financially, try, "I am learning to manage money wisely and attract new opportunities for income." The key is to choose affirmations that stretch your comfort zone without triggering your internal skeptic. Chapter 4. The Architecture of Confidence. Confidence isn't something you're born with or without. It's not a personality trait that some people have and others don't. Confidence is a skill that can be developed, a mindset that can be cultivated, and a habit that can be practiced until it becomes automatic. Real confidence isn't about feeling fearless. It's about feeling the fear and taking action anyway. It's not about never doubting yourself, but about not letting doubt control your decisions. True confidence comes from trusting your ability to figure things out, to learn, to adapt, and to handle whatever challenges come your way. The foundation of confidence is competence. The more skilled you become in areas that matter to you, the more confident you'll naturally feel. But here's the catch. You can't wait until you're completely competent to start acting confidently. Confidence and competence build each other in an upward spiral. You gain confidence by taking action, and you take more effective action when you feel confident. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting to feel confident before they act. They think confidence is a prerequisite for success, when actually, success is a prerequisite for confidence. You build confidence by doing things that scare you, by succeeding at small challenges, and by proving to yourself that you can handle whatever life throws at you. The confidence gap between men and women has been well documented in research. Women tend to apply for jobs only when they meet 100% of the qualifications, while men apply when they meet 60%. This isn't because men are more qualified. It's because they're more willing to act before they feel completely ready. The lesson here applies to everyone. Perfectionism is the enemy of confidence. Your physiology directly affects your psychology. When you stand tall, make eye contact, and use open body language, you not only appear more confident to others, but you actually feel more confident yourself. Research by Amy Cuddy showed that holding a power pose for just 2 minutes can increase testosterone levels and decrease cortisol levels, literally changing your brain chemistry to support confident behavior. The stories you tell yourself about your past experiences shape your future confidence. 2 people can experience the same failure, but one sees it as evidence that they're not cut out for success, while the other sees it as valuable learning experience. The difference isn't in what happened, but in how they interpreted what happened. Confident people have a different relationship with failure. They don't take it personally. They see failure as feedback, as information about what doesn't work so they can adjust their approach. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to success. Another characteristic of confident people is that they focus on what they can control rather than what they can't. They don't waste energy worrying about other people's opinions, market conditions, or past mistakes. They channel their energy into their preparation, their effort, and their response to whatever situation they're facing. Confident people also have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. They believe that their actions influence their outcomes. People with an external locus of control believe that their outcomes are determined by luck, other people, or circumstances beyond their control. When you believe that you have the power to influence your results, you naturally feel more confident taking action. Building confidence requires stepping out of your comfort zone regularly. Your comfort zone is like a muscle. The more you stretch it, the bigger it gets. Start with small challenges that push you slightly beyond what feels comfortable. As you succeed at these smaller challenges, gradually take on bigger ones. Preparation is one of the fastest ways to build confidence. The more prepared you are for a situation, the more confident you will feel going into it. This doesn't mean you need to prepare for every possible scenario, but you should prepare for the most likely scenarios and have a general plan for how you'll handle unexpected challenges. Confidence also comes from having a clear sense of your values and priorities. When you know what matters most to you, it becomes easier to make decisions and stand by them. You're less likely to be swayed by other people's opinions or to second-guess yourself constantly. Chapter 5. the resilience factor. Life will test you. It will knock you down, disappoint you, and challenge you in ways you never expected. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity. The question is how you'll respond when you do. Resilience is what separates those who bounce back stronger from those who stay down. Resilience isn't about being tough all the time or never feeling hurt. It's about having the mental and emotional tools to process setbacks, learn from them, and use them as fuel for future success. Resilient people don't avoid pain. They know how to move through it productively. The first component of resilience is acceptance. This doesn't mean you have to like what's happening, or that you should be passive about it. Acceptance means acknowledging reality as it is, not as you wish it were. When you stop fighting against what's already happened, you free up mental energy to focus on what you can do about it. Resilient people have what researchers call a growth mindset. They believe that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. When they face a setback, they don't think, "I'm not good at this." They think, "I'm not good at this yet." This simple shift in perspective changes everything about how you approach challenges. Another key component of resilience is meaning-making. Resilient people are able to find purpose and significance in their struggles. They ask questions like, "What can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger? And how can I use this to help others?" When you can extract meaning from your pain, it becomes easier to bear and more likely to lead to growth. Resilient people also have strong support systems. They understand that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. They cultivate relationships with people who believe in them, challenge them, and support them through difficult times. They're also willing to be that kind of support for others. The ability to regulate your emotions is crucial for resilience. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Emotional regulation means acknowledging your emotions, understanding what they're telling you, and choosing how to respond rather than simply reacting. Perspective is one of the most powerful tools for building resilience. When you're in the middle of a crisis, it feels like the most important thing in the world. But resilient people have the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture. They ask themselves, "Will this matter in 5 years? What would I tell a friend in this situation? How might this be helping me grow?" Physical resilience supports mental resilience. When your body is strong and healthy, you're better equipped to handle stress and bounce back from setbacks. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and proper nutrition aren't luxuries. They're necessities for maintaining the energy and clarity you need to overcome challenges. Resilient people are also future-focused. While they don't ignore the present reality, they don't get stuck there either. They maintain a vision of where they want to go and what they want to achieve. This forward focus helps them see current struggles as temporary obstacles rather than permanent roadblocks. One of the most important aspects of resilience is learning to separate what happens to you from what it means about you. A business failure doesn't make you a failure as a person. A relationship ending doesn't mean you're unlovable. A financial setback doesn't mean you're irresponsible. Events are events. They don't define your worth or determine your future. Resilient people also practice what psychologists call benefit finding. They actively look for the positive aspects of negative experiences. This isn't about pretending bad things are good or minimizing real pain. It's about being intentional about learning, growing, and finding opportunities within challenges. The concept of post-traumatic growth shows that people can actually become stronger, wiser, and more capable as a result of adversity. They develop deeper relationships, a greater appreciation for life, increased personal strength, and sometimes even discover new possibilities they never would have considered before their struggle. Chapter 6. Mastering your mental state. Your mental state in any given moment determines the quality of your decisions, the effectiveness of your actions, and ultimately, the results you create. Most people live at the mercy of their moods, letting external circumstances dictate their internal experience. But masters of mindset understand that they can choose their mental state regardless of what's happening around them. Your mental state is a combination of your thoughts, emotions, physiology, and focus. When all of these elements are aligned and supporting your goals, you operate in what athletes call the zone, and psychologists call flow state. In this state, you perform at your highest level with seemingly effortless ease. The first step in mastering your mental state is developing awareness. Most people are unconscious of their mental state. They just react to whatever they're feeling in the moment. Start paying attention to your mental state throughout the day. Are you feeling energized or drained? Focused or scattered? confident, or insecure? Simply noticing your mental state is the first step in taking control of it. Your physiology has a direct impact on your mental state. When you're slouched over, breathing shallow, and moving slowly, it's almost impossible to feel energized and confident. But when you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose, your mental state shifts immediately. Your body leads your mind. The quality of questions you ask yourself determines the quality of your mental state. If you're asking yourself, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or, "What if I fail?" you're programming your mind for a negative state. But if you ask, "How can I make this work?" Or, "What opportunity might be hidden in this challenge?" you're programming your mind for a resourceful state. Your focus determines your reality. Whatever you focus on expands in your experience. If you focus on what's wrong, you'll find more things that are wrong. If you focus on what's possible, you'll discover more possibilities. This isn't just positive thinking. It's how your brain's reticular activating system works. Peak performers understand the power of rituals for creating optimal mental states. They have specific routines they go through before important performances, meetings, or challenges. These rituals might include visualization, breathing exercises, affirmations, or physical movements that reliably put them in the right mental state. Music is one of the fastest ways to change your mental state. Different types of music trigger different emotional and physiological responses. Create playlists that help you access different states. Energizing music for motivation, calming music for focus, inspiring music for creativity. Visualization is another powerful tool for mental state management. When you vividly imagine yourself succeeding, your brain releases the same neurochemicals as if you were actually succeeding. This not only feels good in the moment, but also programs your subconscious mind for success. The stories you tell yourself about what's happening around you shape your mental state. Two people can be in identical situations, but have completely different experiences based on the stories they're telling themselves. One person sees a traffic jam as a frustrating delay. Another sees it as an opportunity to listen to an audiobook or practice patience. Your mental state is also influenced by your energy management. When your blood sugar is low, when you're dehydrated, or when you haven't moved your body in hours, it's much harder to maintain a positive, resourceful mental state. Taking care of your physical needs is part of mental state management. Breathing is perhaps the most immediate tool you have for changing your mental state. When you're stressed or anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. When you consciously slow down your breathing and breathe deeply into your diaphragm, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system and shift into a calmer, more focused state. Meditation is mental state training. Just like physical exercise strengthens your body, meditation strengthens your ability to observe your mental state and choose your response rather than simply reacting. Even just 5 minutes of daily meditation can significantly improve your ability to manage your mental state. Chapter 7. The Success Psychology Framework. Success isn't random. It's not about luck, connections, or being in the right place at the right time. Success follows predictable patterns, and these patterns can be learned, practiced, and mastered. When you understand the psychology of success, you can engineer it in your own life. Successful people think differently about goals. While most people set goals based on what they think is realistic, or what they think they can achieve, successful people set goals based on what they want to create. They understand that the purpose of a goal isn't just to achieve it. It's to become the type of person who can achieve it. The psychology of commitment is crucial for success. There's a difference between being interested in something and being committed to it. When you're interested, you do what's convenient. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes. Successful people understand that commitment isn't a feeling. It's a decision that you make over and over again, especially when you don't feel like it. Successful people have a different relationship with time. They understand that time is their most valuable resource because it's the only one they can never get back. They're ruthless about protecting their time and intentional about how they invest it. They say no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great ones. The compound effect is one of the most powerful principles in success psychology. Small, consistent actions compound over time to create extraordinary results. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. Successful people play the long game. Successful people are also students of failure. They understand that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to success. They fail fast, fail cheap, and fail forward. They extract lessons from every setback and use those lessons to improve their approach. The psychology of excellence reveals that successful people don't try to be perfect. They try to be excellent. Perfectionism is paralyzing because it makes you afraid to start anything unless you're sure you can do it perfectly. Excellence is liberating because it focuses on continuous improvement rather than flawless performance. Successful people understand the power of environment design. They create physical, social, and digital environments that support their goals and eliminate temptations that could derail them. They understand that willpower is limited, so they rely on systems and environment design to make success automatic. The concept of identity-based habits is revolutionary for creating lasting change. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Instead of saying, "I want to lose weight," say, "I am someone who takes care of my body." Instead of, "I want to build a business," say, "I am an entrepreneur." When your habits align with your identity, change becomes effortless. Successful people are also masters of leverage. They understand that working harder isn't always the answer. Working smarter is. They look for ways to multiply their efforts through technology, systems, other people, and strategic thinking. They ask, "How can I achieve better results with less effort?" The psychology of influence is another key component of success. Successful people understand that nothing significant is achieved alone. They develop the ability to influence others, to enroll people in their vision, and to create win-win scenarios. They understand that influence isn't manipulation. It's the ability to communicate value so effectively that others want to support you. Successful people also have what researchers call metacognition, the ability to think about their thinking. They regularly step back and evaluate their thought processes, their decision-making patterns, and their mental models. They're constantly upgrading their mental software. Chapter 8. Advanced Mental Strategies. Once you've mastered the fundamentals of mindset, there are advanced strategies that can accelerate your success and help you perform at even higher levels. These are the mental tools used by world-class performers in every field. Mental contrasting is a powerful technique that combines positive visualization with realistic planning. Instead of just imagining your desired outcome, you also visualize the obstacles you're likely to encounter and develop specific plans for overcoming them. This prevents the complacency that can come from pure positive thinking while maintaining motivation and optimism. The concept of anti-fragility, developed by Nassim Taleb, goes beyond resilience. While resilient systems can withstand stress, anti-fragile systems actually get stronger from stress. You can develop anti-fragility by exposing yourself to small, manageable stresses that make you stronger and better prepared for larger challenges. Strategic procrastination is different from lazy procrastination. Sometimes, the best strategy is to deliberately delay action until you have more information, better resources, or optimal timing. Successful people know the difference between productive waiting and fear-based avoidance. The concept of satisficing versus maximizing can free you from analysis paralysis. Maximizers try to find the absolute best option in every situation, which can be exhausting and time-consuming. Satisficers set criteria for good enough and choose the first option that meets those criteria. For most decisions, satisficing is more efficient and leads to greater satisfaction. Mental time travel is the ability to vividly imagine yourself in the future, which can help you make better decisions in the present. When facing a difficult choice, imagine yourself 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years from now. What would your future self advise you to do? This perspective can help you prioritize long-term benefits over short-term pleasures. The concept of optionality involves creating multiple paths to success and keeping your options open as long as possible. Instead of betting everything on one strategy, successful people create portfolios of opportunities and hedge their bets until it becomes clear which path is most promising. Inversion thinking involves considering the opposite of what you want to achieve. Instead of asking, "How can I succeed?" ask, "How could I guarantee failure?" This helps you identify and avoid the pitfalls that derail most people. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, credits much of his success to thinking about problems backwards. The technique of premeditation of evils, borrowed from Stoic philosophy, involves regularly imagining loss or setbacks to build mental resilience and appreciation for what you have. This isn't negative thinking. It's mental preparation that makes you more grateful and less attached to outcomes. Scenario planning involves creating detailed mental models of different possible futures and developing strategies for each. Military strategists and business leaders use this technique to prepare for uncertainty. By thinking through various scenarios in advance, you can respond more quickly and effectively when circumstances change. The concept of cognitive load management recognizes that your brain has limited processing capacity. By automating routine decisions, creating systems for recurring tasks, and minimizing distractions, you free up mental energy for high-value thinking and decision-making. Advanced visualization techniques go beyond simply imagining success. They involve engaging all your senses, including emotions, physical sensations, and even potential setbacks. The more vivid and detailed your mental rehearsal, the more your brain treats it as real experience. Chapter 9. Emotional Mastery. Your emotions are not your enemies. They're powerful sources of information and energy that, when properly understood and directed, become your greatest allies in achieving success. The goal isn't to eliminate emotions, but to master them. To feel what you feel without being controlled by what you feel. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, while also being able to recognize and influence the emotions of others. Research shows that emotional intelligence is a better predictor of success than IQ in most areas of life. The first step in emotional mastery is emotional awareness. Most people are unconscious of their emotional states. They just react automatically to whatever they're feeling. Start paying attention to your emotions throughout the day. What are you feeling? What triggered that emotion? How is it affecting your thoughts and behavior? Emotions serve important functions. Fear warns you of potential danger. Anger signals that your boundaries have been violated. Sadness helps you process loss. Joy reinforces behaviors that serve you. The problem isn't the emotions themselves. It's when emotions control your actions instead of informing them. The concept of emotional granularity refers to your ability to distinguish between different emotional states. Instead of just feeling bad, can you identify whether you're feeling frustrated, disappointed, anxious, or angry? The more precisely you can identify your emotions, the better you can understand what they're telling you and choose how to respond. Reframing is one of the most powerful tools for emotional mastery. The same situation can trigger completely different emotions depending on how you interpret it. A job rejection can be devastating if you see it as evidence that you're not good enough, or it can be motivating if you see it as redirection toward a better opportunity. The 90-second rule, discovered by neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor, states that the chemical component of any emotion only lasts about 90 seconds. After that, you have to choose to recreate the emotion through your thoughts. This means that while you can't control the initial emotional reaction, you can control how long it lasts. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppressing emotions. Suppressed emotions don't disappear. They go underground and often surface later in unhealthy ways. Instead, practice acknowledging your emotions, understanding their message, and then choosing your response. The technique of cognitive reappraisal involves changing how you think about a situation to change how you feel about it. Instead of thinking, "This is terrible," you might think, "This is challenging, but I can handle it." Or, "This is an opportunity to grow stronger." Breathing techniques are among the fastest ways to regulate your emotional state. When you're stressed or upset, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. By consciously slowing down your breath and breathing deeply, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system and shift into a calmer state. Physical movement is another powerful tool for emotional regulation. When you're feeling stuck in a negative emotional state, changing your physiology can change your psychology. Go for a walk, do some jumping jacks, or practice power poses to shift your emotional state. The practice of gratitude is one of the most reliable ways to generate positive emotions. When you focus on what you're grateful for, it's almost impossible to feel depressed or anxious at the same time. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging the good that exists alongside the challenges. Mindfulness meditation teaches you to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. You learn to create space between yourself and your emotions, recognizing that you are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing them. Chapter 10. The Action Imperative. Everything we've discussed so far is meaningless without action. You can have the perfect mindset, unshakable confidence, and emotional mastery. But if you don't take action, you won't create results. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people get stuck, and it's where your success will ultimately be determined. The action imperative recognizes that action is not just important for achieving your goals. It's essential for maintaining your mental health and self-respect. When you consistently fail to take action on your intentions, you lose trust in yourself. When you consistently follow through on your commitments, you build self-confidence and momentum. Perfectionism is one of the biggest action killers. Perfectionists wait for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect circumstances before they act. But perfect is the enemy of done, and done is better than perfect. Successful people understand that you can always improve a bad plan, but you can't improve a plan that's never implemented. The concept of massive action involves taking more action than feels comfortable or reasonable. Most people underestimate how much action is required to achieve their goals. They try a few things, don't see immediate results, and give up. Massive action means doing more than your competition, more than feels fair, and more than seems necessary. Analysis paralysis is another common obstacle to action. Some people research and plan indefinitely without ever moving to implementation. While preparation is important, at some point, you have to act on incomplete information. The key is to gather enough information to make a reasonable decision, then act and adjust based on the results. The minimum viable action principle involves identifying the smallest possible step you can take toward your goal and taking it immediately. This overcomes the overwhelm that often prevents action and builds momentum through small wins. Success is built through consistent small actions, not occasional large ones. Time blocking is a powerful technique for ensuring that action happens. Instead of just hoping you'll find time for important activities, you schedule specific time blocks for them. You treat these appointments with yourself as seriously as you would treat appointments with your most important clients. The 2-minute rule states that if something can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. This prevents small tasks from accumulating into overwhelming to-do lists and creates a bias toward action rather than postponement. Energy management is as important as time management for sustained action. You have limited mental energy each day, and it gets depleted by decision-making, willpower, and focus. Schedule your most important actions for when your energy is highest, typically early in the day. Accountability systems ensure that action happens even when motivation wanes. This might involve working with a coach, partnering with someone who has similar goals, or creating public commitments that make it difficult to quit when things get challenging. The compound effect means that small actions, taken consistently over time, create extraordinary results. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. Feedback loops are essential for sustained action. You need to track your progress, measure your results, and adjust your approach based on what you learn. Without feedback, you're operating blind and likely to continue ineffective actions while abandoning effective ones. The concept of bias toward action means that when in doubt, you choose action over inaction. This doesn't mean being reckless or impulsive, but it does mean recognizing that the risks of inaction often outweigh the risks of imperfect action. Chapter 11. Sustaining your transformation. Creating temporary change is relatively easy. Sustaining transformation over the long term is where most people struggle. The initial excitement wears off, old patterns reassert themselves, and people gradually drift back to their previous ways of thinking and behaving. But lasting transformation is possible when you understand the principles that make change stick. Identity change is the deepest level of transformation. Surface level changes focus on what you do or what you have. Identity level changes focus on who you are. When you see yourself as a healthy person, eating well becomes natural. When you see yourself as a leader, taking initiative becomes automatic. The key is to start acting like the person you want to become until that identity becomes real. Environmental design plays a crucial role in sustaining transformation. Your environment is constantly influencing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, often without you realizing it. If you want to sustain new habits and mindsets, you need to design your environment to support them and eliminate triggers that might derail them. The concept of keystone habits involves identifying habits that naturally trigger other positive habits. For example, regular exercise often leads to better eating, better sleep, and increased productivity. By focusing on developing keystone habits, you can create positive cascades that reinforce your transformation. Social influence is one of the most powerful forces affecting your ability to sustain change. The people you spend time with, the conversations you have, and the communities you belong to all shape your thoughts and behaviors. Surround yourself with people who embody the mindset and lifestyle you want to develop. Regular review and reflection ensure that you stay on track with your transformation. Schedule weekly or monthly check-ins with yourself to assess your progress, identify what's working and what isn't, and make adjustments as needed. Without regular course corrections, even the best transformations can drift off track. The plateau effect is a natural part of any transformation journey. There will be periods where you don't seem to be making progress, where the changes you've made feel difficult to maintain, and where you're tempted to give up. Understanding that plateaus are normal and temporary helps you persist through them. Continuous learning and growth prevent stagnation and keep your transformation dynamic. Keep reading, learning, and exposing yourself to new ideas and perspectives. The moment you think you've learned everything you need to know is the moment your transformation stops. Stress testing your new mindset and habits by gradually exposing them to challenging situations builds confidence that they'll hold up under pressure. Start with small challenges and gradually work up to bigger ones. This process of progressive stress testing builds anti-fragility. The concept of margin involves building buffer zones into your life, extra time, extra money, extra energy, that prevent you from being derailed by unexpected challenges. When you're operating at 100% capacity all the time, any disruption can knock you off course. Celebrating progress and wins, no matter how small, reinforces your new patterns and maintains motivation for continued growth. Your brain learns through reinforcement, and positive emotions strengthen neural pathways. Make celebration a regular part of your transformation process. Chapter 12. Living your transformed life. The ultimate goal of mastering your mindset isn't just to achieve specific goals or overcome particular challenges. It's to live with a fundamental sense of confidence, peace, and purpose that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life brings your way. It's about becoming the type of person who naturally attracts success, creates value, and makes a positive impact on the world. When you've truly mastered your mindset, external circumstances lose their power to control your internal state. You maintain your center, regardless of what's happening around you. This doesn't mean you become emotionless or detached. It means you become unshakable at your core while remaining responsive to life's opportunities and challenges. A transformed mindset also changes how you relate to others. When you're secure in yourself, you stop needing others to validate you, and you can focus on adding value to their lives instead. When you're confident in your own abilities, you stop seeing others as competition and start seeing them as potential collaborators. The ripple effect of your transformation extends far beyond your own life. When you operate from a place of confidence, purpose, and emotional mastery, you give others permission to do the same. You become a model of what's possible, and your influence spreads to your family, friends, colleagues, and community. Living your transformed life also means accepting that growth never ends. There will always be new challenges to face, new levels to reach, and new versions of yourself to become. The difference is that instead of seeing this as overwhelming, you see it as exciting. You develop an appetite for growth and a comfort with discomfort. You also develop what researchers call psychological capital, a combination of confidence, hope, optimism, and resilience that allows you to thrive in any situation. This capital becomes your most valuable asset because it can't be taken away from you, and it applies to every area of your life. The transformed mindset recognizes that success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process of achieving it. The goals you pursue are important, but they're not the end game. The end game is becoming the type of person who naturally creates success, adds value, and lives with purpose and fulfillment. You begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than threats to be avoided. You develop what Nassim Taleb calls anti-fragility, the ability to get stronger from stress rather than just surviving it. This mindset allows you to thrive in uncertainty and turn obstacles into advantages. A transformed mindset also brings with it a deep sense of responsibility. You realize that your thoughts, emotions, and actions don't just affect you. They affect everyone around you. You become more conscious of the energy you bring to every situation and the impact you have on others. You develop what Viktor Frankl called self-transcendence, the ability to focus on something greater than yourself. Whether it's serving others, creating something meaningful, or contributing to a cause you believe in, you find that your greatest fulfillment comes from using your abilities in service of something larger than your own immediate needs. The journey of mindset mastery is ultimately a journey home to your true self, the confident, capable, purposeful person you were meant to be before limiting beliefs, fear, and doubt covered up your natural brilliance. When you master your mindset, you don't become someone new. You remember who you always were underneath the conditioning and programming. This is your invitation to step into that truth, to claim your power, and to live the extraordinary life that's waiting for you on the other side of your comfort zone. The tools and strategies in this audiobook are just the beginning. Your transformation starts the moment you decide that you're ready to take full responsibility for your mindset and your results. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. When you learn to master it, When you program it for success? When you align it with your deepest values and highest aspirations. There's no limit to what you can achieve. The question isn't whether you can transform your life through mindset mastery. The question is whether you will. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The time is now. Chapter 13. The Dark Psychology of Failure. There's a hidden force sabotaging your success right now. It's not external circumstances. It's not bad luck. It's not even your conscious thoughts. It's something far more insidious, operating in the shadows of your mind, systematically dismantling your efforts before you even realize what's happening. Most people think failure is the opposite of success. They're wrong. Failure is a sophisticated psychological system, and unless you understand how it works, you'll keep feeding it the exact ingredients it needs to thrive in your life. The failure system has three primary components: the sabotage mechanism, the justification engine, and the comfort zone guardian. These work together seamlessly to keep you stuck while making you believe you're actually trying to succeed. The sabotage mechanism is perhaps the most cunning. It doesn't prevent you from starting, it prevents you from finishing. It allows you to get excited about goals, make plans, and even take initial action. But as you get closer to real success, it activates. Suddenly, you make small mistakes that derail your progress. You forget important meetings. You procrastinate on crucial tasks. You sabotage relationships that could help you. This isn't conscious self-destruction. Your sabotage mechanism believes it's protecting you. It's programmed by past experiences where success led to increased expectations, more responsibility, or fear of losing what you'd gained. So it keeps you in the safe zone of trying, but not quite succeeding. The justification engine is equally sophisticated. Its job is to make your failures seem reasonable, even noble. It creates elaborate stories about why you didn't succeed that preserve your self-image while keeping you trapped. I didn't really want it anyway. The timing wasn't right. I have higher priorities. These aren't lies. They feel completely true when the justification engine creates them. The comfort zone guardian is the most protective of all. It monitors your progress and sends increasingly strong warning signals as you approach the boundaries of your familiar territory. First come the whispers of doubt, then the anxiety, then the overwhelming urge to retreat to safety. Most people interpret these signals as evidence that they're on the wrong path, when actually they're evidence that they're on the right path, but approaching their growth edge. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step in dismantling them. The failure system only works when it operates in darkness. When you shine the light of awareness on it, its power begins to diminish. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need to reprogram these systems, and that requires understanding how they were installed in the first place. Most of your failure programming was established during your formative years, often as a protection mechanism against disappointment or rejection. Maybe you learned that trying hard and failing was more painful than not trying at all. Maybe you discovered that being average was safer than standing out. Maybe you absorbed the belief that successful people are selfish or that money corrupts. These beliefs became the foundation of your failure system. The good news is that what was programmed can be reprogrammed, but it requires more than positive thinking. It requires systematic deprogramming of the failure system and deliberate installation of success programming. Chapter 14. The Neuroscience of Peak Performance. Your brain is capable of extraordinary things, but most people never access even a fraction of their mental potential. Peak performers understand something that average performers don't. The brain can be optimized, trained, and enhanced to operate at levels that seem almost superhuman. The latest neuroscience research reveals that peak performance isn't about being naturally gifted. It's about understanding how to activate specific neural networks, optimize brain chemistry, and create the conditions for flow states where extraordinary performance becomes effortless. Flow state is perhaps the most studied aspect of peak performance psychology. When you're in flow, your brain waves shift to the alpha-theta border, a frequency associated with enhanced creativity, reduced anxiety, and effortless focus. Time seems to slow down or speed up. Self-doubt disappears. You perform at your absolute best with seemingly no effort. But flow isn't random. It can be triggered through specific conditions. Challenge must be matched with skill level. Goals must be clear. Feedback must be immediate. Distractions must be eliminated. When these conditions are met, your brain naturally shifts into the flow state. The prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO, plays a crucial role in peak performance. This region is responsible for executive functions like planning, decision-making, and impulse control. When it's optimally functioning, you make better decisions, resist distractions, and maintain focus on your priorities. But the prefrontal cortex is also vulnerable to depletion. It runs on glucose, and when your blood sugar is low, your decision-making suffers. It's also affected by stress, lack of sleep, and information overload. Peak performers understand this and optimize their lifestyle to support optimal prefrontal cortex function. Neuroplasticity is another key factor in peak performance. Your brain literally rewires itself based on what you repeatedly think and do. Every time you practice a skill, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with that skill. Every time you think a thought, you make it more likely that you'll think that thought again. This means you can systematically upgrade your mental software by deliberately practicing the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors associated with peak performance. Champions don't just practice their physical skills. They practice their mental skills with equal intensity. The default mode network is a network of brain regions that's active when you're not focused on a specific task. For most people, this network is dominated by worry, self-doubt, and mental chatter. But peak performers learn to quiet this network through meditation, mindfulness, and focused attention practices. Neurotransmitters play a crucial role in peak performance. Dopamine is associated with motivation and reward-seeking behavior. Norepinephrine enhances focus and attention. Serotonin regulates mood and confidence. GABA reduces anxiety and promotes calm focus. You can influence these neurotransmitters through your diet, exercise, sleep, and mental practices. The mirror neuron system allows you to learn by observing others. When you watch someone perform at a high level, your mirror neurons fire as if you were performing those actions yourself. This is why studying peak performers and visualizing excellent performance can actually improve your own abilities. Chapter 15. Mental toughness and unbreakable resilience. Mental toughness isn't about being emotionless or pretending pain doesn't exist. It's about developing the psychological tools to persist through adversity, maintain performance under pressure, and bounce back stronger from setbacks. It's about building what Navy SEALs call mental armor that protects you from the psychological warfare of high-stakes situations. The foundation of mental toughness is acceptance of reality. Tough-minded individuals don't waste energy wishing things were different or fighting against circumstances they can't control. They quickly assess the situation as it is, not as they wish it were, and focus their energy on what they can influence. Compartmentalization is another crucial skill. When facing multiple stresses or traumas, mentally tough people can separate different aspects of their experience. They might be dealing with a health crisis while maintaining focus at work, or experiencing relationship problems while performing athletically. They don't let one area of struggle contaminate all areas of their life. The concept of stress inoculation involves deliberately exposing yourself to manageable levels of stress to build tolerance for larger stresses. Just as vaccines expose you to small amounts of a virus to build immunity, stress inoculation builds psychological immunity to pressure and adversity. Mentally tough people also reframe adversity as training. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "How is this making me stronger?" They see challenges as opportunities to test and develop their capabilities, rather than as evidence that life is unfair. Emotional regulation under pressure is perhaps the most visible aspect of mental toughness. When others become reactive, emotional, or paralyzed by stress, mentally tough individuals remain calm and focused. They feel the emotions, but don't let emotions drive their decisions. This emotional control comes from understanding that emotions are temporary, and that your response to emotions is always a choice. They practice what psychologists call cognitive reappraisal, changing how they think about a situation to change how they feel about it. The ability to find meaning in suffering is another hallmark of mental toughness. Viktor Frankl observed that those who survived concentration camps weren't necessarily the physically strongest, but those who could find purpose and meaning in their suffering. When you can extract significance from your struggles, they become bearable and even transformative. Mental toughness also involves developing what researchers call grit, the combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. Gritty people don't just work hard, they work hard at the same thing for years, even decades, without giving up. Chapter 16. The Psychology of Influence and Persuasion. Nothing significant is achieved alone. Your ability to influence others, to enroll them in your vision, and to persuade them to support your goals is crucial for any meaningful success. But influence isn't manipulation. It's the art of aligning your goals with others' needs and desires in ways that create mutual benefit. The foundation of influence is understanding human psychology. People make decisions emotionally and justify them rationally. They want to feel important, valued, and understood. They're motivated more by avoiding loss than by gaining benefits. They're influenced by social proof, authority, and reciprocity. Reciprocity is one of the most powerful influence principles. When you do something for someone, they feel psychological pressure to return the favor. But this only works if your initial gesture is perceived as genuine and valuable. Manipulative attempts at reciprocity backfire because people can sense the ulterior motive. Social proof leverages people's tendency to follow the crowd. When people are uncertain about how to behave, they look to others for guidance. By showing that others similar to your target audience have made the decision you want them to make, you make that decision seem safer and more logical. Authority influence works because people have been conditioned from childhood to defer to authority figures. But authority isn't just about titles or credentials. It's about demonstrating expertise, competence, and trustworthiness. True authority influence comes from being genuinely more knowledgeable or capable in relevant areas. Commitment and consistency leverage people's desire to appear consistent with their previous decisions and statements. When someone makes a commitment, especially a public one, they feel pressure to follow through to maintain their self-image and reputation. Liking and rapport are fundamental to influence. People are more easily influenced by those they like and trust. Liking can be increased through genuine similarity, authentic compliments, attractive appearance, and cooperative rather than competitive interactions. Scarcity creates urgency and desire. When something is rare or limited, it becomes more valuable in people's minds. But artificial scarcity is manipulative and often backfires. Genuine scarcity about time, opportunity, or availability can ethically motivate action. The contrast principle affects how people perceive value. The order in which you present options significantly impacts which one seems most attractive. By anchoring with a high-value option first, subsequent options seem more reasonable by comparison. Frame control is perhaps the most sophisticated influence skill. The person who controls the frame controls the conversation. By establishing how a situation should be interpreted, you influence all subsequent thinking about that situation. Chapter 17. Advanced Goal Achievement Psychology. Setting goals is easy. Achieving them is where most people fail. The difference between goal setters and goal achievers isn't willpower or motivation. It's understanding the psychology of human behavior change and designing goal pursuit systems that work with your brain rather than against it. Traditional goal-setting advice focuses on making goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But smart goals often fail because they ignore the psychological barriers that prevent follow-through. Advanced goal achievement requires understanding these barriers and designing around them. One of the biggest barriers is the planning fallacy, the tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take and overestimate how much you can accomplish in a given time frame. Most people set goals based on their ideal performance rather than their realistic performance, setting themselves up for disappointment and abandonment. Another barrier is the intention-action gap, the space between deciding to do something and actually doing it. This gap is filled with psychological obstacles, competing priorities, emotional resistance, environmental triggers, and energy depletion. Successful goal achievement requires bridging this gap systematically. Implementation intentions are one of the most powerful tools for closing the intention-action gap. Instead of just deciding what you want to achieve, you decide exactly when, where, and how you'll take action. I will exercise becomes, I will go to the gym at 6 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will start with 10 minutes on the treadmill. Temptation bundling is another advanced strategy that makes difficult behaviors more attractive by pairing them with immediately rewarding activities. You might only allow yourself to watch your favorite show while exercising, or only listen to certain podcasts while doing household chores. The concept of keystone goals involves identifying goals that naturally trigger other positive behaviors. Instead of trying to change multiple habits simultaneously, you focus on one goal that creates a cascade of other improvements. For many people, regular exercise becomes a keystone goal that improves sleep, nutrition, productivity, and mood. Environmental design is crucial for goal achievement. Your environment is constantly cueing behaviors, often without your awareness. By designing your environment to make desired behaviors easier and undesired behaviors harder, you reduce the reliance on willpower and motivation. Identity-based goal setting focuses on who you want to become rather than what you want to achieve. Instead of, I want to lose 20 pounds, you focus on, I want to become someone who takes excellent care of their body. This approach creates sustainable behavior change because it aligns with your self-concept. Chapter 18. The Science of Habit Formation and Behavior Change. Habits are the compound interest of behavior change. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create extraordinary results. But most people approach habit formation randomly, relying on motivation and willpower. Rather than understanding the science of how habits actually form and stick, every habit follows the same neurological pattern: cue, routine, reward. The cue triggers the behavior, the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward reinforces the neural pathway. Understanding this loop allows you to design new habits and modify existing ones systematically. The most critical element in habit formation is the cue. Without a consistent, specific trigger, new behaviors remain dependent on memory and motivation. The most effective cues are tied to existing routines, specific times, particular locations, or emotional states that occur naturally. Environmental cues are particularly powerful because they operate below the level of conscious awareness. The sight of your running shoes by the door cues the exercise habit. The placement of books on your nightstand cues the reading habit. Designing your environment to provide consistent cues dramatically increases habit formation success. The routine must be simple enough to perform even when motivation is low. Most people make the mistake of trying to install complex routines that require high energy and motivation. But habits form through repetition, not intensity. It's better to do 2 push-ups every day than to do an hour-long workout sporadically. The reward must be immediate and intrinsic to the behavior itself. Delayed rewards don't strengthen neural pathways effectively. The reward might be the endorphin rush from exercise, the sense of accomplishment from completing a task, or the pleasure of learning something new. Habit stacking involves attaching new habits to existing strong habits. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write in my journal for 5 minutes. This leverages the cue strength of established routines to trigger new behaviors. The concept of minimum viable habits focuses on creating the smallest possible version of the desired behavior. Want to develop a reading habit? Start with reading 1 page per day. Want to exercise regularly? Start with putting on your workout clothes. These tiny behaviors build the neural pathway and often naturally expand over time. Tracking and measurement provide additional reward and feedback loops that strengthen habit formation. Seeing your streak of consecutive days builds momentum and creates psychological pressure to maintain consistency. Chapter 19. Mastering Energy and Peak Physical Performance. Your mind and body are not separate systems. They're interconnected aspects of one unified organism. Your mental performance is directly linked to your physical state, and optimizing your body is one of the fastest ways to enhance your mental capabilities. Energy management is more important than time management for sustained high performance. You can have all the time in the world, but if your energy is depleted, you won't accomplish anything meaningful. Peak performers understand this and organize their lives around energy optimization rather than just time optimization. There are 4 types of energy: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Each type has different requirements for renewal and different patterns of depletion. Understanding these patterns allows you to design your schedule to maximize peak performance periods and ensure adequate recovery. Physical energy is the foundation for all other types of energy. When your body is operating optimally, your brain has the resources it needs for high-level thinking, emotional regulation, and sustained focus. Physical energy optimization involves nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. Sleep is perhaps the most undervalued performance enhancer. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, clears metabolic waste, and restores neurotransmitter levels. Even small amounts of sleep deprivation significantly impair cognitive function, emotional regulation, and decision-making ability. The research on sleep optimization reveals several key principles. Consistency is more important than duration. Morning light exposure helps regulate circadian rhythms. Evening blue light disrupts sleep quality, and room temperature should be slightly cool for optimal sleep. Nutrition directly affects brain function through blood sugar regulation, neurotransmitter production, and inflammation levels. Foods that stabilize blood sugar support sustained mental energy. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids support brain health. Antioxidant-rich foods protect against cognitive decline. The timing of nutrition is as important as the content. Eating large meals causes blood flow to be diverted to digestion, reducing cognitive performance. Strategic fasting can enhance mental clarity and focus. Proper hydration is essential for optimal brain function. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools for enhancing mental performance. Physical activity increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which promotes neural growth and connectivity. It also enhances mood through endorphin release and improves stress resilience through hormetic adaptation. Different types of exercise have different cognitive benefits. Aerobic exercise enhances memory and learning. Strength training improves executive function. Yoga and Tai Chi enhance emotional regulation and stress management. High-intensity interval training optimizes both physical and mental performance in time-efficient formats. Chapter 20. Financial Psychology and Wealth Mindset. Money is one of the most emotionally charged topics in human experience. Your relationship with money affects not just your financial results, but your self-worth, your relationships, your stress levels, and your life choices. Developing a healthy wealth mindset is crucial for both financial success and overall life satisfaction. Most people's money beliefs were formed during childhood through observation of their parents' financial behaviors and attitudes. These early impressions create unconscious programming that influences financial decisions throughout life, often in ways that sabotage financial success. Common limiting beliefs about money include thoughts like, money is the root of all evil, rich people are greedy, money doesn't buy happiness, or I don't deserve to be wealthy. These beliefs create internal conflict when pursuing financial goals, leading to self-sabotage and inconsistent behavior. The scarcity mindset sees money as a limited resource that must be hoarded and protected. People with scarcity mindsets focus on saving and cutting expenses rather than increasing income. They see others' success as threatening their own opportunities. This mindset creates stress and limits wealth-building potential. The abundance mindset sees money as a tool for creating value and improving life. People with abundance mindsets focus on creating value for others as the path to financial success. They see others' success as proof of what's possible. This mindset creates opportunities and attracts wealth. Financial psychology research reveals that people's financial decisions are often irrational and emotionally driven. Loss aversion makes people more motivated to avoid losses than to achieve gains. Anchoring bias causes people to rely too heavily on the first piece of information they receive. Understanding these biases helps improve financial decision-making. The relationship between money and happiness is complex. Research shows that money does improve happiness, but only up to a certain point. Beyond meeting basic needs and providing security, additional income has diminishing returns on happiness. However, financial stress significantly impairs happiness and life satisfaction. Delayed gratification is one of the strongest predictors of long-term financial success. The ability to sacrifice immediate pleasures for long-term benefits allows for saving, investing, and building wealth over time. This skill can be developed through practice and environmental design. Financial education alone doesn't change financial behavior. Knowledge must be combined with habit formation, emotional regulation, and mindset shifts to create lasting change. Many financially successful people aren't financial experts. They just have habits and mindsets that support wealth building. Chapter 21. Leadership Psychology and Executive Presence. Leadership isn't a title or position. It's a way of thinking and being that inspires others to follow your vision and support your goals. True leadership emerges from psychological mastery, emotional intelligence, and the ability to influence others through value creation rather than position power. Executive presence is the combination of confidence, competence, and communication that makes others want to listen to you, follow you, and support you. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the person others trust to make good decisions under pressure. The foundation of leadership psychology is self-awareness. Leaders who lack self-awareness make decisions based on ego rather than effectiveness. They don't understand how their behavior affects others, and they don't recognize their own blind spots and limitations. Emotional intelligence is perhaps the most important leadership skill. Leaders must be able to regulate their own emotions while also understanding and influencing the emotions of others. They must remain calm under pressure, inspire confidence during uncertainty, and maintain optimism while acknowledging real challenges. Visionary thinking separates true leaders from managers. Leaders can see possibilities that others can't see, and they can communicate these possibilities in ways that make others excited to participate. They think in terms of potential rather than just current reality. Decision-making under uncertainty is a core leadership skill. Leaders rarely have complete information, but they must make decisions anyway. They develop frameworks for making good decisions with incomplete data, and they take responsibility for the outcomes of their decisions. Delegation and empowerment distinguish leaders from micromanagers. Effective leaders understand that their role is to enable others' success rather than to control every detail. They delegate authority along with responsibility, and they create environments where others can excel. Communication skills are essential for leadership effectiveness. Leaders must be able to articulate their vision clearly, provide feedback constructively, resolve conflicts diplomatically, and inspire action through their words. They adapt their communication style to their audience and situation. Chapter 22. Relationship Mastery and Social Intelligence. Humans are social creatures, and your ability to build strong, positive relationships directly impacts every area of your life. Social intelligence, the ability to understand social situations and navigate them effectively, is one of the strongest predictors of life satisfaction and success. Emotional attunement is the foundation of relationship mastery. This involves the ability to accurately read others' emotional states and respond appropriately. People who are emotionally attuned make others feel understood and valued, which forms the basis of strong relationships. Active listening is one of the most undervalued relationship skills. Most people listen to respond rather than to understand. True active listening involves giving your complete attention, asking clarifying questions, and reflecting back what you've heard to ensure understanding. Empathy allows you to understand and share the feelings of others. But empathy can be developed and refined through practice. The more you consciously try to understand others' perspectives and experiences, the better you become at it. Conflict resolution skills are essential for maintaining healthy relationships. Conflict is inevitable in any meaningful relationship, but how you handle conflict determines whether it strengthens or weakens the relationship. Effective conflict resolution focuses on the issue rather than the person, seeks win-win solutions, and preserves dignity for all parties involved. Boundaries are necessary for healthy relationships. People who can't set boundaries become resentful and exhausted. People who set boundaries too rigidly miss opportunities for deep connection. The art is finding the right balance for each relationship and situation. Social calibration involves adjusting your behavior based on social feedback. People with good social calibration can sense when their behavior is appropriate or inappropriate and adjust accordingly. They read social cues accurately and respond in ways that enhance rather than diminish social connection. Trust building is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. Trust is built through consistency between words and actions, vulnerability and authenticity, and demonstrated care for others' well-being. Trust can take years to build and seconds to destroy. Chapter 23. Crisis Management and Emergency Psychology. Crisis situations reveal character and test every aspect of your psychological preparation. How you think, feel, and act under extreme pressure determines not just your survival, but your ability to help others and emerge stronger from the experience. Crisis psychology involves understanding how the human mind responds to extreme stress and developing the mental tools to remain functional when others become paralyzed. The first response to crisis is often shock and disbelief, followed by either panic or mobilization. The freeze response is one of the most common crisis reactions. When faced with overwhelming threat or uncertainty, the mind simply shuts down as a protective mechanism. Understanding this response allows you to recognize it and push through it when action is required. Situational awareness is crucial for crisis management. This involves constantly monitoring your environment for potential threats or changes, thinking several steps ahead, and maintaining multiple contingency plans. People with high situational awareness often avoid crises entirely because they see them coming. Rapid decision-making under pressure requires different skills than thoughtful decision-making in calm circumstances. Crisis decisions must be made quickly with incomplete information, but they still need to be as sound as possible. This requires having decision-making frameworks prepared in advance. Stress inoculation training involves deliberately exposing yourself to manageable stress to build tolerance for extreme stress. Emergency responders, military personnel, and athletes use this training to perform effectively under pressure. The principle can be applied to any area where you might face high-pressure situations. Communication during crisis is critical for coordinating response and maintaining morale. Crisis communication must be clear, calm, and action-oriented. Panic is contagious, but so is calm confidence. Your communication style during crisis can significantly influence others' responses. Post-crisis processing is essential for learning and growth. After surviving a crisis, it's important to analyze what worked, what didn't, and what can be improved for future situations. This processing also helps prevent post-traumatic stress and promotes post-traumatic growth. Chapter 24. Competitive Psychology and Winning Mindset. Competition brings out both the best and worst in human nature. Understanding competitive psychology allows you to harness the motivation and focus that competition provides while avoiding the negative aspects that can lead to stress, burnout, and unethical behavior. The competitive mindset involves viewing challenges as opportunities to test and prove your abilities, rather than as threats to your self-worth. Healthy competitors are motivated by the pursuit of excellence, rather than the fear of failure or the need to dominate others. Preparation is the foundation of competitive success. Competitors who consistently win don't just prepare harder, they prepare smarter. They analyze their competition, identify their own strengths and weaknesses, and develop strategies that maximize their advantages while minimizing their vulnerabilities. Mental rehearsal and visualization are crucial competitive tools. Champions don't just practice physical skills, they practice mental skills with equal intensity. They visualize successful performance, anticipate potential challenges, and rehearse their responses to various scenarios. Pressure management separates good competitors from great ones. Pressure can either enhance performance or destroy it, depending on how it's interpreted and managed. The best competitors learn to reframe pressure as excitement and to use adrenaline as fuel, rather than allowing it to create anxiety. Focus and concentration under competitive pressure require specific skills. The ability to maintain attention on relevant cues while filtering out distractions is developed through practice. Champions have routines and techniques for entering and maintaining optimal focus states. Adaptability during competition is essential, because no plan survives contact with reality unchanged. The best competitors can adjust their strategy in real time based on changing circumstances while maintaining their core objectives and principles. Recovery and regeneration are often overlooked aspects of competitive psychology. The ability to bounce back quickly from losses, mistakes, or poor performances determines long-term competitive success more than any single victory or defeat. Chapter 25. Flow State Mastery and Optimal Experience. Flow state represents the pinnacle of human performance, a state of effortless concentration where you perform at your absolute best while feeling your absolute best. Understanding how to access and maintain flow states is one of the most valuable skills for any high achiever. Flow occurs when challenge and skill are perfectly balanced. If the challenge is too high relative to skill, anxiety results. If skill is too high relative to challenge, boredom results. The flow channel exists in the narrow band where challenge and skill are matched and both are high. Clear goals and immediate feedback are essential conditions for flow. Your brain needs to know exactly what it's trying to achieve and whether it's succeeding moment by moment. Ambiguous goals or delayed feedback disrupts the flow state and returns you to self-conscious monitoring. The merger of action and awareness is a hallmark of flow. In normal consciousness, part of your attention is always monitoring your performance. In flow, this self-conscious monitoring disappears, and all attention is focused on the task at hand. Time transformation occurs in flow states. Sometimes time seems to slow down, allowing you to perceive and respond to information that would normally happen too quickly to process. Other times, hours pass like minutes because you're completely absorbed in the activity. The loss of self-consciousness is both liberating and performance-enhancing. When you stop worrying about how you look or what others think, you can focus entirely on performance. This elimination of internal interference often leads to breakthrough performances. Intrinsic motivation is crucial for accessing flow. Activities must be engaging and meaningful in themselves, not just as means to external rewards. People who chase flow for external validation or rewards often find it elusive. Environmental factors significantly impact flow accessibility. Distractions, interruptions, and suboptimal physical conditions can prevent flow states. Creating the right environment for flow requires careful attention to lighting, noise, temperature, and potential interruptions. Chapter 26. Advanced Meditation and Mindfulness Practices. Meditation is perhaps the most powerful tool for developing mental mastery, but most people practice meditation ineffectively because they don't understand the different types and their specific benefits. Advanced meditation practice requires understanding which techniques serve which purposes and how to progress systematically. Concentration meditation involves focusing attention on a single object, such as the breath, a mantra, or a visual image. This type of meditation develops sustained attention, mental stability, and the ability to resist distraction. It's the foundation for more advanced practices. Mindfulness meditation involves observing present moment experience without judgment or interference. Rather than concentrating on one object, you develop the ability to be aware of whatever arises in consciousness while maintaining equanimity and non-attachment. Loving-kindness meditation develops positive emotions and social connection. By systematically cultivating feelings of love and compassion toward yourself and others, you can reduce negative emotions, improve relationships, and increase overall life satisfaction. Body scanning meditation develops interoceptive awareness, the ability to perceive internal bodily signals. This enhanced body awareness improves emotional regulation, stress management, and overall health by helping you detect and respond to subtle changes in your physical state. Walking meditation combines mindfulness with physical movement. This practice is particularly valuable for people who struggle with sitting meditation and for developing mindfulness during daily activities, rather than just during formal practice sessions. Visualization meditation involves creating detailed mental images and can be used for various purposes. Rehearsing future performance, cultivating positive emotions, or developing concentration. Advanced visualization practices can include complex scenarios with multiple sensory modalities. Mantra meditation uses repetitive sounds or phrases to focus the mind and can have specific effects depending on the mantra chosen. Different mantras are designed to cultivate different mental states or to resonate with different aspects of consciousness. The integration of meditation insights into daily life is what distinguishes casual practitioners from serious ones. Advanced practitioners don't just meditate, they live meditatively, maintaining awareness, equanimity, and compassion throughout their daily activities. Chapter 27. Creativity and Innovation Psychology. Creativity isn't a mystical talent that some people have and others don't. It's a cognitive process that can be understood, developed, and optimized through specific practices and environmental conditions. Understanding creativity psychology allows you to enhance your innovative capabilities systematically. The creative process typically follows predictable stages: preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. Understanding these stages allows you to optimize each phase and avoid common pitfalls that block creative flow. Preparation involves gathering raw materials for creativity through learning, research, and exploration. The quality of your creative output is limited by the quality of your inputs. Creative people are typically voracious learners who expose themselves to diverse experiences and information sources. Incubation is the unconscious processing phase where your brain works on creative problems outside of conscious awareness. This phase often requires stepping away from active problem solving and engaging in relaxing or unrelated activities that allow unconscious processing to occur. Illumination is the moment when creative insights emerge into consciousness. These aha moments often seem to come from nowhere, but they're actually the result of unconscious processing during the incubation phase. You can increase the frequency of illumination by optimizing the conditions that support it. Verification involves evaluating, refining, and implementing creative ideas. Many creative people struggle with this phase because it requires different skills than idea generation. It involves critical thinking, practical planning, and often collaboration with others. Divergent thinking generates multiple possible solutions to a problem, while convergent thinking evaluates and selects the best solution. Both types of thinking are necessary for creativity, but they require different mental modes and often different environmental conditions. Creative environments have specific characteristics that support innovative thinking. They provide psychological safety for risk-taking, access to diverse resources and perspectives, and the right balance of stimulation and calm. They also minimize criticism during the generation phase, while providing constructive feedback during the evaluation phase. Chapter 28. Memory Mastery and Learning Acceleration. Your ability to learn quickly and remember accurately directly impacts your success in every area of life. Understanding how memory works and how to optimize learning processes allows you to acquire new skills and knowledge far more efficiently than relying on repetition and hope. Memory isn't a single system, but multiple interconnected systems with different characteristics and functions. Sensory memory holds information for milliseconds. Working memory processes information for seconds to minutes, and long-term memory can store information indefinitely. The encoding process determines what information gets stored in long-term memory and how easily it can be retrieved. Information that's meaningful, emotionally significant, or connected to existing knowledge is more likely to be encoded effectively. Elaborative encoding involves connecting new information to existing knowledge networks. The more connections you can create between new information and what you already know, the stronger the memory trace and the easier the recall. Spaced repetition is one of the most powerful learning techniques. Instead of cramming information in single sessions, spaced repetition involves reviewing information at increasing intervals. This technique leverages the forgetting curve to maximize retention with minimal effort. The method of LOCI, also known as the memory palace technique, involves associating information with specific locations in a familiar environment. This technique leverages your brain's natural spatial memory abilities and can dramatically improve recall for sequential information. Chunking involves grouping related information into meaningful units. Your working memory can only hold about 7 items at once, but by chunking related items together, you can effectively increase your processing capacity. Interleaving involves mixing different types of problems or subjects during practice sessions, rather than practicing one type intensively. This technique initially slows learning, but ultimately leads to better retention and transfer to new situations. Active recall involves testing yourself on material rather than just reviewing it passively. The act of retrieval strengthens memory traces and identifies gaps in knowledge that need additional attention. Chapter 29. Time Mastery and Productivity Optimization. Time is your most valuable resource because it's the only one you can never get back. Time mastery isn't about managing time. Time can't be managed. It's about managing yourself, your energy, your attention, and your priorities to create maximum value in the time you have. The time poverty mindset creates stress and poor decision-making by focusing on what you don't have enough of. The time abundance mindset focuses on making conscious choices about how to invest your time and accepting that you can't do everything. Priority matrix systems help you distinguish between urgent and important tasks. Most people spend too much time on urgent but unimportant tasks while neglecting important but non-urgent activities that drive long-term success. Time blocking involves scheduling specific time periods for specific activities rather than working from a task list. This approach ensures that important activities get dedicated time and prevents minor tasks from consuming disproportionate attention. The Pomodoro technique uses focused work sessions followed by short breaks to maintain concentration and prevent mental fatigue. This technique leverages the natural rhythms of attention and energy to optimize productivity. Batching similar tasks together reduces the cognitive overhead of task switching and allows you to develop momentum and efficiency within task categories. Instead of checking email throughout the day, you batch email processing into specific time blocks. Energy-based scheduling involves aligning high-energy tasks with high-energy times and low-energy tasks with low-energy times. Understanding your natural energy rhythms allows you to maximize productivity while minimizing fatigue. Elimination and automation remove tasks from your schedule entirely, or reduce the time and attention they require. Before optimizing how you do something, question whether you need to do it at all. Chapter 30. Stress Optimization and Pressure Performance. Stress isn't inherently bad. It's information about the demands being placed on your system. The goal isn't to eliminate stress, but to optimize your relationship with it, using appropriate stress to enhance performance, while preventing excessive stress from causing burnout or breakdown. Eustress is positive stress that enhances performance and promotes growth. This type of stress is challenging but manageable, time-limited, and aligned with your goals and values. Eustress makes you feel energized and capable, rather than overwhelmed and depleted. Distress is negative stress that impairs performance and damages health. This type of stress is overwhelming, chronic, and misaligned with your goals and values. Distress makes you feel anxious, depleted, and out of control. The stress response system evolved for acute physical threats, but modern stressors are typically psychological and chronic. Understanding this mismatch allows you to manage stress more effectively by addressing both the physiological and psychological components. Cognitive reappraisal involves changing how you think about stressful situations to change how you feel about them. Viewing stress as challenge rather than threat, or as opportunity rather than danger, can literally change your physiological response to stress. Progressive overload is a training principle that applies to stress tolerance as well as physical fitness. By gradually exposing yourself to manageable levels of stress, you build tolerance for higher levels of stress while developing coping skills and resilience. Recovery and regeneration are essential for managing stress effectively. Without adequate recovery, even positive stress can become negative stress. Recovery involves both active techniques like exercise and relaxation, and passive techniques like sleep and meditation. Chapter 31. Career acceleration and professional development. Your career isn't just about making money. It's about creating value, developing your capabilities, and building a professional identity that aligns with your deeper purpose. Career acceleration requires strategic thinking about your skills, relationships, and opportunities. Career capital consists of the skills, experiences, relationships, and reputation that make you valuable in the marketplace. Building career capital requires intentional investment in developing rare and valuable capabilities that others need and are willing to pay for. The 10,000-hour rule suggests that expertise requires extensive practice, but not all practice is equally valuable. Deliberate practice involves focusing on your weaknesses, seeking immediate feedback, and pushing beyond your comfort zone consistently. Network effects mean that your career success is significantly influenced by the quality of your professional relationships. Building a strong network requires providing value to others before asking for value in return, and maintaining relationships over time rather than just networking when you need something. Personal branding involves consciously managing how others perceive your professional identity. In the digital age, your online presence often creates first impressions before you meet people in person. Effective personal branding aligns your authentic strengths with market needs. Career pivots are increasingly common as industries change rapidly and people seek greater alignment between their work and their values. Successful pivots leverage transferable skills while developing new capabilities needed in your target field. Entrepreneurial thinking applies even in traditional employment situations, taking ownership of problems, identifying opportunities for improvement, and developing solutions creates value for your employer while building your own capabilities and reputation. Chapter 32. Health and Fitness Psychology. Your physical health provides the foundation for everything else you want to achieve. Health psychology involves understanding the mental and emotional factors that influence health behaviors and developing sustainable approaches to fitness and wellness. Body image and self-perception significantly impact health behaviors. People with positive body image are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors and less likely to engage in destructive ones. Developing a healthy relationship with your body is essential for long-term wellness. Motivation for health behaviors comes from both intrinsic and extrinsic sources. Intrinsic motivations like feeling energetic and capable tend to be more sustainable than extrinsic motivations like looking attractive to others. Understanding your deeper motivations all helps maintain consistency. Habit formation is crucial for health behaviors because willpower and motivation fluctuate. Creating environmental cues, starting with minimal viable habits, and linking new behaviors to existing routines helps establish sustainable health practices. The all-or-nothing mentality is one of the biggest obstacles to health improvement. People often abandon their health goals entirely after minor setbacks because they view anything less than perfect adherence as failure. Developing a progress-oriented, rather than perfection-oriented mindset supports long-term success. Stress management is an essential component of health because chronic stress undermines physical health through multiple pathways. Effective stress management involves both reducing unnecessary stressors and developing better coping strategies for inevitable stress. Social support significantly impacts health behaviors and outcomes. Surrounding yourself with people who support your health goals and removing or limiting exposure to people who undermine them creates an environment that supports wellness. Chapter 33. Relationship and Family Dynamics. Relationships provide meaning, support, and joy in life, but they also require skills, awareness, and intentional cultivation. Understanding relationship dynamics allows you to build stronger connections while avoiding common patterns that damage relationships. Attachment styles developed in early childhood influence adult relationship patterns. Secure attachment promotes healthy relationships, while insecure attachment styles can create challenges that require awareness and intentional work to overcome. Communication skills are fundamental to relationship success. This includes not just speaking clearly, but listening actively, expressing emotions constructively, and navigating conflicts in ways that strengthen rather than damage the relationship. Emotional regulation within relationships involves managing your own emotions while also being responsive to your partner's emotional needs. This requires developing the ability to stay calm during conflicts and to provide support during difficult times. Boundaries in relationships define what behaviors are acceptable and unacceptable. Healthy boundaries protect your well-being while allowing for intimacy and connection. People who can't set boundaries often become resentful, while people who set rigid boundaries often become isolated. Conflict resolution skills are essential because disagreements are inevitable in any close relationship. Effective conflict resolution focuses on the issue rather than attacking the person, seeks solutions rather than blame, and maintains respect even during disagreement. Intimacy and vulnerability involve gradually sharing deeper aspects of yourself while creating safety for your partner to do the same. This emotional intimacy forms the foundation for trust and connection in long-term relationships. Family dynamics involve complex systems of relationships with their own patterns, roles, and rules. Understanding family systems helps you navigate these relationships more effectively and avoid getting pulled into dysfunctional patterns. Chapter 34. Financial Mastery and Wealth Building. Financial mastery involves more than just earning money. It requires understanding money psychology, developing financial skills, and creating systems that build wealth over time while supporting your broader life goals. Financial education covers the technical skills needed to manage money effectively: budgeting, investing, insurance, taxes, and estate planning. While financial knowledge alone doesn't guarantee financial success, it provides the foundation for making informed decisions. Cash flow management involves understanding the difference between income and expenses and optimizing both sides of the equation. Many people focus only on cutting expenses, but increasing income often provides greater leverage for wealth building. Investment psychology involves understanding how emotions and cognitive biases affect investment decisions. Fear and greed drive most poor investment decisions, while successful investors develop the discipline to stick to sound strategies despite market volatility. Asset allocation involves diversifying investments across different asset classes to balance risk and return. The appropriate allocation depends on your age, risk tolerance, time horizon, and financial goals. Passive income streams provide money without requiring ongoing time investment. Building passive income requires upfront investment of time, money, or both, but can provide financial freedom and security over time. Financial planning involves setting specific financial goals and creating strategies to achieve them. This includes retirement planning, education funding, emergency funds, and other financial objectives that support your broader life vision. Wealth preservation involves protecting the wealth you build from taxes, inflation, market volatility, and other risks. This becomes increasingly important as your wealth grows and you have more to lose. Chapter 35. Personal Philosophy and Values Integration. Your personal philosophy provides the foundation for all your decisions and actions. Without clear values and principles, you'll be pulled in multiple directions by external pressures and conflicting desires. Developing a coherent personal philosophy creates internal alignment and external effectiveness. Values clarification involves identifying what's truly most important to you versus what you think should be important based on social expectations. Your authentic values provide energy and motivation, while values that aren't truly yours create internal conflict and drain energy. Life purpose involves understanding how you want to contribute to the world and what legacy you want to create. Purpose provides direction and meaning, especially during difficult times when other motivations aren't sufficient to sustain action. Principle-based decision-making involves having clear rules that guide your choices regardless of circumstances or emotions. When you know your principles, decisions become easier because you're not reinventing your value system every time you face a choice. Integrity involves aligning your actions with your stated values and commitments. People with high integrity don't just talk about their values, they live them consistently, even when it's difficult or costly to do so. Authenticity involves being genuine rather than trying to be what you think others want you to be. Authentic people are more attractive, more trusted, and more fulfilled because they don't waste energy maintaining false personas. Personal mission statements articulate your purpose, values, and goals in written form. The process of creating a mission statement forces clarity about what matters most to you, and having it written provides a reference point for future decisions. Chapter 36. Legacy and Long-Term Impact. True success isn't just about what you achieve during your lifetime. It's about the positive impact you have on others and the legacy you leave behind. Legacy thinking changes how you approach decisions and helps you focus on what truly matters. Generational thinking involves considering how your actions today will affect future generations. This perspective encourages long-term thinking and often leads to more responsible and sustainable choices. Mentorship and teaching allow you to multiply your impact by developing others' capabilities. The knowledge and skills you've developed become more valuable when you share them with others who can apply them in their own lives. Institutional building involves creating organizations, systems, or structures that continue to create value after you're no longer directly involved. This might involve starting businesses, nonprofits, or other institutions that serve important purposes. Philanthropic impact involves using your resources to address problems and improve conditions for others. Effective philanthropy requires the same strategic thinking as any other endeavor: clear goals, effective strategies, and measurable results. Cultural influence involves contributing ideas, values, or perspectives that improve how people think and behave. This might happen through writing, speaking, art, or other forms of creative expression that reach and influence others. Environmental stewardship involves taking responsibility for the impact your lifestyle and choices have on the natural world. This includes both minimizing negative impacts and actively contributing to environmental restoration and protection. Chapter 37. Continuous Evolution and Lifelong Learning. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a way of traveling. The most successful people are lifelong learners who continuously evolve their thinking, skills, and approaches as circumstances change and they discover new possibilities. Growth mindset involves believing that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. People with growth mindsets embrace challenges, persist through setbacks, and see effort as the path to mastery rather than as evidence of inadequate talent. Intellectual humility involves recognizing the limits of your knowledge and remaining open to new information and perspectives. This humility prevents the arrogance that stops learning and allows you to continue growing throughout your life. Learning agility involves the ability to quickly acquire new skills and adapt to new situations. In a rapidly changing world, the ability to learn quickly is often more valuable than existing knowledge or skills. Feedback seeking involves actively soliciting input about your performance and behavior rather than waiting for others to provide it. People who seek feedback improve faster because they get more information about how to adjust their approach. Experimentation involves trying new approaches and being willing to fail in order to discover what works. This requires comfort with uncertainty and the ability to learn from both successes and failures. Cross-training involves developing skills and knowledge outside your primary area of expertise. This breadth of knowledge often leads to innovative insights and provides resilience when your primary field changes. Chapter 38. The Integration Protocol. Having learned all these concepts and strategies, the challenge now is integration. Taking all this knowledge and turning it into a coherent approach to living and achieving that works for your unique situation and goals. Systems thinking involves understanding how different areas of your life interact and influence each other. Changes in one area often have ripple effects in other areas, and the most effective interventions often involve multiple coordinated changes rather than isolated improvements. Prioritization frameworks help you decide which areas to focus on first when you can't work on everything simultaneously. Some people benefit from focusing on their biggest weakness, others from building on their biggest strength. The key is having a conscious strategy rather than random effort. Implementation planning involves breaking down your learning into specific actions you can take immediately. Knowledge without action is worthless, and the gap between knowing and doing is where most people get stuck. Progress tracking allows you to measure your improvement and adjust your approach based on results. What gets measured gets managed, and tracking progress maintains motivation during periods when improvement isn't obvious. Course correction involves regularly reviewing your progress and adjusting your approach based on what you're learning about yourself and your circumstances. Flexibility and adaptability are essential for long-term success. Habit stacking involves linking new behaviors to existing strong habits to increase the likelihood that new behaviors will stick. This leverages the momentum of established routines to build new ones. Environmental design involves creating physical, social, and digital environments that support your goals and eliminate obstacles to success. Your environment is constantly influencing your behavior, so designing it intentionally is crucial. Chapter 39. The Mastery Mindset. Mastery isn't about perfection, it's about excellence. It's about bringing your best effort to whatever you're doing while maintaining the humility to know that there's always more to learn and room to improve. The mastery mindset embraces the journey rather than fixating on destinations. While goals are important for direction and motivation, true satisfaction comes from the process of growth and improvement rather than just from achieving specific outcomes. Deliberate practice is the heart of mastery. This involves pushing beyond your comfort zone, focusing on your weaknesses, seeking immediate feedback, and maintaining complete concentration. Most people practice things they're already good at, but masters practice things they struggle with. Pattern recognition develops through extensive experience and allows masters to quickly understand new situations by recognizing similarities to previous situations. This intuitive understanding often appears magical to others, but results from deep pattern recognition developed over time. Teaching and mentoring are natural extensions of mastery. Masters feel compelled to share their knowledge and develop others because they understand that knowledge becomes more valuable when it's shared and applied by others. Innovation emerges from mastery when deep understanding of existing approaches allows you to see possibilities for improvement or entirely new approaches. You can't effectively break rules until you thoroughly understand them. Legacy focus shifts attention from personal achievement to lasting impact. Masters think about how their work will continue to create value long after they're no longer actively involved. Chapter 40. Living the Extraordinary Life. This is where everything comes together. An extraordinary life isn't about having extraordinary circumstances. It's about bringing an extraordinary mindset to whatever circumstances you face. It's about becoming the type of person who naturally creates value, builds meaningful relationships, and makes a positive impact on the world. The extraordinary mindset sees opportunities where others see obstacles. It maintains optimism while acknowledging reality. It takes responsibility for outcomes while accepting that many factors are beyond direct control. It focuses on what's possible rather than what's probable. Extraordinary people understand that success isn't just about personal achievement. It's about contributing to something larger than themselves. They find ways to align their personal goals with benefits for others, creating win-win scenarios that generate support and resources. Balance is not about giving equal time to everything. It's about giving appropriate attention to what matters most in each season of your life. Sometimes work demands more focus. Sometimes family does. Sometimes health requires priority. The key is conscious choice rather than unconscious drift. Presence involves being fully engaged with whatever you're doing, rather than constantly thinking about the past or future. This presence enhances performance, improves relationships, and increases life satisfaction. Gratitude and appreciation for what you have doesn't prevent ambition for more. It provides the emotional foundation that allows you to pursue goals from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Grateful people are more attractive, more resilient, and more successful. Service orientation involves looking for ways to help others and contribute to causes you care about. This service mindset often leads to opportunities and relationships that wouldn't be available to purely self-focused people. Your transformation journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning. You now have the knowledge and tools to master your mindset and create the success you desire in any situation. The question isn't whether you can transform your life through mindset mastery. The question is whether you will. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once a disaster. Every success story started with someone deciding they were ready to change. Your story of transformation starts the moment you decide to apply what you've learned. The world needs what you have to offer. Your unique combination of talents, experiences, and perspectives can contribute something valuable that no one else can provide. But first, you must develop the mindset that allows you to access your full potential and share it with the world. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. When you learn to master it, when you program it for success, when you align it with your deepest values and highest aspirations, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The time is now. Your extraordinary life is waiting.